Good morning, guys. So straight into the next video. I'm continuing with electrical work. I'm going to try to get the breaker panel finished up in this video, as well as getting all my remaining wiring run throughout the shop. What I have left is wires running to the office and wires running to the CNC room. And then I also have to put in a heavier gauge wire for my air compressor once I get the air compressor. That's going to be what's going to power or run the power hammer. The power hammer is pneumatic. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get to work. All right, so just to give an update of where I am right now, I've started running more wiring. As you can see, there's more wires hanging down now. I have lights for the CNC room, office outlets, office light, and I'm getting ready to pull the wire right now for the CNC room outlets. So basically what's happening is everything's coming this way. I had to drill some additional holes, so that's why there's sawdust wood chunks everywhere. The majority of it I'm running up to this point, and then it goes through the wall there. So the stuff for the office is going to peel off this way. The stuff for the CNC room is going to come down. Let me show you what I have so far. So I have two holes right there coming from the wall up above. This is my CNC room light wire, which is going to run over here. I got to drill a hole through there. And then the light switch is going to be right here inside the door. The other hole is going to be for the outlet wire and for the CNC. Actually, the outlets are going to come through the same hole. This is going to be for the CNC wire, CNC power, and then the air compressor power. And those will cut across here. They're going to come up here, and then they're going to go that way and come down this wall. So I have an outlet mounted already, which is behind this, if I can reach it, aluminum plate. Oh, I didn't need that anyway. So that is going to be the 220 outlet for the CNC. As you can see, it has the sideways spade there, or perpendicular to the other spade. That's the mark of a 220 20 amp outlet, basically, is what that is. And then somewhere on this wall or this corner, there's going to be the outlet for the air compressor is going to be mounted on the outside of the building. So I'm going to just bring the wire over here for now because I haven't figured out exactly where I'm going to put it. I had initially planned to put it on the other side of this wall behind the shop, but we recently had a survey done and I found out that my shop is a lot closer to the property line than I thought. So let me go upstairs and show you what's happening up here. I started putting some pallet wood up here too. So if you look, I don't know if this is going to show up very well through the screen, but you see where the flag is right there, right? And my post that I had put in here before. So it turns out that these posts are pretty much right on my property line, which, if that looks really close, it is. So the property line ended up only actually being about 2 to 3 feet behind the shop, which is not cool. But this is not a permitted building. It's weird because, let me flip this around. So I find it a little strange because I basically lined up the back of the shop with the water catchment tank. And to my knowledge, water catchment tanks had to be a minimum of 10 feet from property lines. So I thought I was going to have at least 10 feet if I lined up the back of the building with essentially the back of the water catchment tank. But that's not the case. So my 4-foot walkway I was planning to put on the back side of the shop, I'm not going to be able to do that now. So most likely what's going to happen is the compressor will get mounted, or it'll go on this wall here, which is essentially the west wall of the shop. And I'll just have to kind of reconfigure for that. So I'll figure that out once I get to that point. I don't even have an air compressor yet, so no need to worry. All right, let me flip this back around. Okay, so to show you the office, this is the 3 wires coming through. These are for the office. This is office outlets. Office light switch is going to be here. So it's actually going to be mounted on the other side of this wall. So as I come up the stairs, I can flip the lights on or off. So that's where the outlet will be. From there, there will be a wire that's going to run up to power the outlet, obviously. And then there's also going to be an additional wire. So basically the plug that's going to be up here for the outlet, or for the light, there's two plugs right on the outlet, 2 outlets. And one is going to be to power the camera that's going to be on the back side of the shop looking towards the back of the property. And then the other one is going to be to power the light. So you basically split the plug, which is the same thing that I did in the grinding room. So I have one light switch for the lights, and one light switch will power the other outlet, because down the road I want to get a air cleaner that's going to hang in the ceiling from there. So I'll be able to flip that on, and there will be basically a ventilation fan. So I'm going to do the same thing here. It's just the outlet where the camera is going to be just powered all the time. And then the outlet for the light will go to the switch, and then that'll be powered by the switch. So I'm going to continue on, and then I guess we'll have an update once I get further. All right, so this is where I'm at now. I added in some 2x4s there, and they're all staples are added in on all those wires to keep them secure. And then all of my wires now are run, minus the 2 10-gauge wires, sets of wires that are for the CNC and for the air compressor, which is like the gray one that's up there. So that's actually for my 50-ton press. I just stuck it up there to get it out of the way for now. I still have to get the little brackets to bring it through for that size of wire. All of these ones though are clipped in now and tightened down, since all the staples are in. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start actually routing these wires. So the general ideal here is you want all of your copper wires coming this way. They're going to go down to this point and be terminated on that bar. And then all of the white wires are going to come this way, and they are going to get terminated on this bar over here, which is the neutral. So the copper is your ground, the white is your neutral, the black is your what they call hot leads. So the hots will be what actually connect into the circuit breakers themselves. So as you can see, you can also run neutrals on this side. So these are essentially the same, this side and this side. You can see the bar here passes through, has a protective covering on it. So there could be whites running to this side, there could be whites running to this side. And then what happens is the breakers get clipped in here. If it's a single breaker, it'll go on one of these tabs. If these are showing up, there you get a better angle. So a single breaker will go onto one of these tabs. If it's a 220, it will actually go across 2 of these tabs. So it's picking up one of the 120 sides and the other 120 sides. And then you'll get your 240 or 220 to 240, whatever it ends up being for whatever the device is. So that is where I'm at now. I'm going to start running these and getting everything kind of tidied up and terminated, cut to length, and we'll start popping in some breakers. So an update for the office. I have all the wires run up here, and I also started running my Cat 6 cable, which is going to go for the computer that's going to be in here, and then also there's going to be one going up here for the camera that's going to be mounted on that outside wall. But all this is pretty much run. You can see the wires going down to the CNC room there. Where these wires are wrapped up together, that's going to be an outlet, an outlet, an outlet. These wires here are going to go to the switch, and then they run up to where the outlet for the lights are going to be. So that's all of this up here. All right, so I started doing some work in the breaker panel. As you can see, I have all my grounds hooked up, and then I have all of my neutrals hooked up. There's no order that these have to go in. Essentially, they're all the same wire. That's what a neutral is. It's similar to a ground. In some systems it can actually be used as a ground, which is why there's this green nut up here. I don't know exactly what situations that happens, but yeah, there's a situation where you'll run this screw in and it'll actually go through the plastic and then it'll hit the box, which essentially grounds it. So it'd be the same as these down here where this is attached to the box, everything's grounded this way. Like I said, I don't know exactly the situation that happens in. I'm not doing that currently though, so that is an option. But I'm at the point now where I'm ready to start putting some of the breakers in and doing some of my hot wires. And the way, this is the point where you have to kind of figure out how you want your breaker panel. For me, so I have all my hots are just bent up that way so that they're out of the way right now. And I do have probably another 6 or 7 more wires that will be added to this, but they are currently for lights and whatnot that are powered essentially by this plug. So there will be more wires added into this later. I have some things that I want to keep powered on all the time, so they are being powered from the house right now through this big extension cord is running to the house. The rest of the shop will be powered once I turn on the generator and this is all set up. So the way I'm going to be doing my layout is this side here, I'm going to reserve the first 3, which essentially is 6, because that's going to be my 220s. So there will be the 50-ton press, the CNC, and the air compressor. The next ones on this side will be my 20 amp outlets, which I have 3 of those. So that's going to be for my grinding room outlets and my grinding room lights. And then I have a 20 amp outlet on the south wall here, which is right behind that ladder. I just want to have a heavier duty outlet there because if I ever have to plug anything in, like a piece of equipment that's going to need to, pull some current, I have a 20 amp outlet right there. And I think I pointed out the difference on the outlets. If it's a 20 amp, it has that this little side piece here. So there's like a perpendicular slot that comes out. So that designates a 20 amp outlet. A regular 15 amp outlet just has the 2 vertical slots. So 3 220s, 3 20s, everything else in here is going to be 15 amp, which is basically outlets and lights. And then those are going to just run down this side. So that's how I'm going to start setting this up. I do not have my 220 breakers yet, so I'm going to have to just skip those. I'm going to start with the 20 amp ones, and then we will get those wired in, and then I'll start doing 15 amps on this side. Okay, so I have my 20 amp breakers here, and I'm going to show you real quick kind of how these click in. There's a set of kind of hooks here on the one side, and then there's a kind of a slot cutout on the other side. So the slot cutout is what goes onto this big spade piece that's sticking here. And then the little hooks go into this spot here. So they hook in here and then you pop them onto there. So essentially the way it goes in is you hook it like that, which is kind of hard to see, but it's hooked right now. And then this side slides over that, and then you basically just pop it in. Let's see, 2, 4, 6. Okay, so I actually have this in the right spot. So you use a little bit of force and now that is in. So this breaker is locked in, and the way that it's going to work from here is the black wire for whatever this is going to be powering is going to go into this hole right here, and then this screw gets tightened down. And then that circuit is essentially complete. So then you just start populating everything else. So I'm going to continue and start getting some wires run. All right, so I have all my breakers in. Sorry, I have my camera on a tripod, so I'm trying to get it in the right position. So all my breakers are installed. My 320s here, these are all 15s. My 20 amp 220 breakers are going to go here once I get them. And then I have 6 additional slots down here. I'm not sure exactly how many circuits I have right now, just because some things are wired up differently for the moment. but I just wanted to show how this process goes. And you also want to make sure that all the breakers are off. Breaker panels are something that a lot of people freak out about on job sites because you don't know if it's live or if it's not live. You don't know what's hooked up yet. So in general, there's always going to be a piece of cardboard over this until it's finished. And even then, people are still a little leery about it. My breaker panel is connected to nothing. So working on this type of electrical still kind of scares the crap out of me. But as long as you pay attention to what you're doing and you kind of know what you're doing, then it's not super difficult. It's fairly easy to figure out. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to terminate the first wire into the first breaker here, and this is going to be the south wall outlet wire. So I just want to kind of show the process of how you do this. So you run your wires down the side. You want to kind of try to keep everything neat, and then you want to get the distance. So when this wire goes into this breaker, it's going to be about right there, and then you'll cut that off, and then you carefully use a razor blade and you strip off the shielding of the wire so that you expose the copper. And then basically all you do, there's a little hole here behind the screw. You insert your wire into the hole and then you tighten down the screw. And that's essentially it. So as you're tightening down, you want to kind of make sure the wire is centered and that the copper is pushed all the way into the hole. You don't want to have exposed copper hanging out in case something falls in here or whatever, a screw or a clip or whatever falls in there. If it touches it, there's a possibility it could short something out. So you don't want to have the hot wire exposed. So you want to make sure that it's fully into the breaker. And that's tightened down. So this one is essentially done. So I'm going to continue on with the ones that I have. This is going to be my south wall outlet, grinding room lights, grinding room outlet. And then I'll just start populating the ones over here of what I have into the box already. All right, so next day, home from work, and I'm working on this again. This is where it stands right now. I have all of my hots terminated that I have the labels for out here. There's a couple spots where there's blanks, and that's because they are going to be lights that will be added in after, because currently they're plugged in there so that I could actually turn on the lights. I have the 3 spots here will be for the 220, and then there will be some remaining ones down here. And then I just wanted to show the progress that I got up in the office so far. So I have this switch mounted. It's wired and mounted. No power yet, of course. I'm currently working on wiring all this. So I have my boxes in, and I'm starting to terminate the plugs. I have this one done. The switch is going down there. That's the back side of the switch. I have these 2 left to do, and then I have the ones to do up here. Once all of that is done and everything's terminated, I will end up plugging in the light switch wire into the extension cord plug where the rest of the lights are, so that I can actually have lights up here if I need them at night. The wire for the computer, internet wire, Cat 6 is there. I have the other one running across here. This is going to end up running up here and going through this wall somewhere in here. I have to figure out where it's going to reach first, and that's going to kind of determine where my camera is going to go. But somewhere in this area, obviously the camera will be on the outside, and then it'll be plugged in there. So that's where I am so far. I'm going to continue on with getting these plugs all wired up, and then get this stuff tied up and get the plugs up here done. All right, so I made it to town today, and I got my 220 breaker. This is a 50 amp breaker for 220. It's basically two breakers put together, and then the way that you get the 220, like I explained before, is that you go on one spade and the other spade, which there's 120, 120, and that's how you get a 220 circuit. So I have my line stapled in and it's run down. I got the proper size clamps, so that's clamped in, and I'm getting ready to terminate these wires. Normally I only would have needed 10-2 wire, but I got 10-3 because I wasn't sure. So this white wire is actually not going to be used for anything. So I'm going to get this terminated, and then I guess we're going to do the scary part of powering stuff on and see if I can get my press to start working. Alright, I have my generator on, so there's power live to the breaker panel now. So this is very sketchy, don't do this. Breaker's on, and my press is plugged in. Of course I tested this already, but as you can see, I crushed a can. But my press is now working. So this is a pretty huge step as far as getting this done. Man, so happy. So continuing on, getting the electrical wrapped up in here. I have this outlet done, and basically this outlet, jumps through, comes across over to this outlet. I have the switch installed, and I'm about ready to do the plug for the light up there. Then this CNC room will be completely done, minus the 220 outlet that's going to be for the CNC. I still have to buy wire for that, but that's going to be like $300, so I'm not in a hurry. And then going upstairs, I'm just about done up here. I think I might have showed the switch already. I have all of these outlets done. I'm actually going to swap out this outlet to one that has the USB plugs in it as well. And then I just need to do the outlets up here for the light and for the camera that's going to be mounted out there. Okay, so everything is finished up now. I have all these plugs terminated and installed. I have the light up in here. This one is not going to be powered normally, so it'll only be running when the generator's running for this room, because right now this room is probably going to be the last thing that I get done. I'm not really in a rush to get the CNC. I mean, I'd love to get it, but that's like a $10,000 or $12,000 investment. So up here, I got all this done. Lights are on, hooked up. All the outlets are done, which those were before. I got this one switched out with the USB ports that I wanted. I have the outlets up here. So one outlet is controlled by the switch, which turns the light on and off. There's another outlet there if I end up adding a second light or something down the road. This one here was going to just be on all the time. That's where the camera is going to plug in. You can see I have my Cat 6 cable run up there. So basically, I'm just going to punch a hole through the wall, and then the camera will get mounted on the other outside, and then it'll get pulled. The wires will get pulled through and get plugged in and everything here. But that is pretty much it. So that is pretty much all of my electrical. I don't think that I have anything left to do for electrical except for the 220 lines that I need to run for the air compressor and for the CNC machine. I just haven't run those yet because that's about $300 worth of wire that I have to buy just for those two wires. But those are the same size as, if you see the gray wire up there, which is what's running the press, which is 10 gauge wire. That's going to be the same thing run. But yeah, other than that, all the electrical is done. Yeah, pretty exciting. I even got the cover on here. Got stuff labeled, which it's probably all reversed right now because I have the camera flipped. So I have everything labeled. Of course, there's slots here which are going to be for the air compressor and the CNC. I do have additional spots here that will get filled eventually because I do have shop lights, some of the outlets and other lights. They're on this cord coming from the house. So once I get to, I guess, the point that I have solar, then those breakers will be added in. These wires will be taken off that plug and they will be actually plugged into the breaker panel. So I have no idea when that's going to be, but in the meantime, this is how it's going to run. And on that note, I'm going to wrap this video up. It's nice that I got to the point now finally that the electrical is pretty much done. Again, if there's any electricians watching, don't critique me too harshly. But I think I did everything pretty much right and pretty much to code. Yeah, I mean, I did things over, too much, if anything. Like, I don't need to run so many wires, individual wires for each thing, but I just want to have each area to be able to shut off if I need to. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I want to say thank you guys as always for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Now I'm getting ready to start breaking down some pallets so that I can start getting some pallet wood to do the pallet wall. So I'll talk to you guys on the next video. Take care. Aloha. I'll see you later.